I think the bar is just going to get raised because in the past we were doing certain work without AI. Now, with the help of AI, we should not only be able to deliver faster, but with more quality.
What does your day to day world actually look like when you are inside a hyper growth company?
If you are in a hyper growth environment, every day you start with a day and all of a sudden there's a business situation scenario that needs your attention, and you should be very comfortable pivoting your day to solve that. And at the same time, you have your planned deliverable, your planned day, what you need to accomplish. You should be able to kind of juggle between those two. When you're entering a room, look for your supporters and also look for your detractors. So it's like being able to read the room. Can you read the room? Can you understand what your audience is looking for?
The entry level developer roles are shrinking. The staff level roles are so much in high demand that it's almost impossible to find. Like the companies are fighting over the same, like the comps are raising so high. But what happens is like, okay, all right, there we are. Perfect. Great to have you on the call here, Shweta. And thank you so much
Likewise,
for
Varun.
taking the time. This is my first time, so hopefully, like I'm nervous. Okay, so gonna
You
if
don't
that
look
helps.
nervous.
That's just years and years of faking it. Really, welcome to the show, Shweta.
Thank you.
So my first question: you have lived in the BizOps, PMO as a chief of staff style roles, right, for years, and more specifically in like high growth tech environments. Now, when people only see director of BizOps title on LinkedIn, they could have multiple different ideas. Like, what does your day to day world actually look like when you are inside a hyper growth company?
Yeah, so that's a great question. My role and what I do expects a lot of predictability in the business, in the workplace I am, for the leader that I support. Uh, but my own day is usually very unpredictable. The reason why I say very unpredictable is because it depends on what business needs. And if you are in a hyper growth environment, every day you start with a day and all of a sudden there's a business situation scenario that needs your attention, and you should be very comfortable pivoting your day to solve that. And at the same time, you have your planned deliverable, your planned day, what you need to accomplish. You should be able to kind of juggle between those two. So it's a very interesting question that you bring up, that a person who's supposed to be bringing predictability, most of the times I would say my day is not predictable.
So how do you manage then? Because like yeah, I can see like it's a tightrope. But whole in the tech world, what I've seen is like there's this huge adoption of this agile, and the fundamental concept is like you just cannot plan 3 months in advance, 4 months in advance, so everything will drift apart, and that's why hence they do the agile. But even then, like as somebody who has talked to so many leaders and like when they implement agile, even though like those are not ideally implemented from your standpoint, like especially when the portfolio is large, maybe there is a certain budget in your mind that you allocate, like, hey, I this much is my chaos budget, like this much chaos I expect. But what is like your take or perspective on like how to balance that out?
Yeah, no, again, a great question. So again, I use my driving time to organize my day. So right now I have 1 hour drive, which is fantastic because in the morning I drive so early to come to work. I plan my day. Okay, these are the things that I need to work on. This is I should keep my eye on and kind of make sure that it has my attention. And then things that are running very stable, then try to detach myself from it because it's going very smoothly. So great question. You have to compartmentalize your day. And it's literally you plan for 3 months or 6 months, because beyond that, having really, really concrete plan either for delivery or anything else, right now in the AI world, I would say it's a little unrealistic. Of course, you do annual planning, you plan your whole year round, but you do calibration and you do it very quickly. So I use my drive time to kind of think that today this needs my attention. And then, as I mentioned, middle of the afternoon, if there is a escalation, there is something that needs my attention, then you figure out that what can be deprioritized. So anybody in my role, I would say, would be doing the same. It is relentless prioritization. Just like for your programs, you look at what is the requirement, what needs to get done. Similarly, in your day-to-day operations, You just detach and attach based on what the situation is.
I
And
see.
things that are going great, just move yourself. Your team is there to run it. Focus on things that need your attention.
Got it. So basically, number one job responsibility for you is just like prioritization. Like things can,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
the input, process, output, you're the process. But like, hey, throw chaos at me. I'll continuously give you an adapted plan.
Exactly. And things that my team has seen before or they're aware of, it's very easy to delegate. The things which are very ambiguous, where we don't have all the answers, those are the things that as an ops person or as a chief of staff or as somebody who's heading a PMO, they need to kind of at least drive it, stand it up, and then of course get the team to run it.
Got it. Working in the tech environment, sometimes like there's always like I'm not sure about like this happens to the biz ops people, but there's always this tussle between the product managers and the engineering side of the house. Like, oh my god, what do you do? We build all of the things. What do you do? Do you feel like there's that kind of a maybe not so obvious, but the thought that you have to juggle with like herding cats for tech talent?
So I used to very early in my career because this role definitely gets marginalized a lot. You're right, like when the product is shipped or any deliverable is complete, it's the product, it's the engineering team. And a lot of times people behind the scenes, sometimes it's the program managers, are kind of forgotten. So I would say I was very fortunate early in my career. I saw some very, very strong chief of staffs. I saw very strong program managers, literally who could go deep and who could go broad. And that was my role model. And when you bring that kind of expertise, you kind of become the core in that delivery. This role, it depends on what you have seen. The good is defined by the person, and if you haven't seen the good, a lot of times it's marginalized and people associate it with a lot of tactical stuff. I agree it involves a lot of tactical stuff, but I always tell my team that you have to wear both hats. You have to be strategic and tactical at the same time. So, yeah, I mean, that is the approach. If you take that, then your value definitely is perceived more in your team, in your organization. And then again, be that person who's literally the driver for that initiative. You are at a very critical position. It just depends on, are you able to project yourself?
Nice. And so you said like earlier on in the career, you had these other really good chief of staffs that you looked up to. What would be top two or three behaviors or character traits or just like how did they do things that you saw like, oh my god, like this is what I want to model?
I think the biggest thing I saw in all of them was their vision. They could see things. They could see things 2 months down the lane, and it was not short term. So again, as to become a great PMO leader or a chief of staff or operations, you should know what can go wrong. It's not about what can go right. And if you're able to anticipate that, then you prepare for it better, you prepare your leader better. And then it's all the data, it's all in front of you. Can you connect the dots? Because a lot of time people are siloed. If you ever want to be in this role, and anyone who is currently in this role would agree with what I'm saying, it's like having that vision of visibility, having that end-to-end visibility, I would say, within the organization, being able to pick up something where you don't have all the answers, but you can connect the dots. You can reach out to the right people in the organization. You can build that roadmap, which is short term and which is long term. So those are the skill sets I've seen people, and very strong EQ.
Okay, tell me more about the EQ part.
So EQ, I think, is again something that for all of these roles is extremely, extremely needed. I've had mentors in the past, and when I started my career as a program manager, they always used to say that when you're entering a room, look for your supporters and also look for your detractors. So it's like being able to read the room. Can you read the room? Can you understand what your audience is looking for? Can you understand where the gaps will are or will be in future? So having that ability to read is very, very important.
One style of leadership would be kind of like from the back, you're just enabling people. One style of leadership would be this commander, like, hey, my way or the highway. I genuinely want to understand the other side. Like, does having empathy for people make you appear weak?
No, not really. I have seen some of the strongest leaders who are extremely empathetic in all actually organizations I have worked. It's just the environment. I feel sometimes depending on how much accountability the teams are taking, how much mental maturity the teams have, you need to decide your leadership style and you'll have to switch it. No one leader can operate in just one form. So sometimes it is leading from front because
Mhm.
it is the nature of the team dynamics and what needs to get delivered. And sometimes when you have really well functioning organization, yes, you let them go and you are there to support them and back them up.
Got it. And so, which brings me to another point, and this is just like my personal observation of the world, right? May be true, may not be true. I have seen that women are much better at like picking up these cues. This is like, you drop them into the room, and I have seen like women compared to men have, generally speaking, much higher EQ and empathy. And there are things that sometimes, like, even if you show me an entire recording of a room and I have like 10 hours to read through the recording and I will be making notes and reading the room, there are things that I could not pick up that sometimes women can pick up with their sixth sense. So my question number one is like, do you think that is true? And question number two is like, I want to also understand your own experience as being woman in leadership, woman in tech leadership, because again, that is not a perspective that I have, of course. So I would really like to understand yours.
Very interesting questions. So, the first one I would say, if you would have asked me this question maybe 10 years back or 15 years back, I would have said, yes, this is one gift that women have and we are able to. But again, working very closely with my other leaders, male counterparts, I personally feel that this is a skill set you can develop. And the most successful men I have worked with, they do possess this skill. And I have seen people going in a room, and when they walk out, they have read the room, they know exactly how this thing will play out. And I'm surprised. And again, I think they are intentional about it, or based on number of years they've been working, they coach themselves. But this is something, the leaders that I really admire, I
Mhm.
see both men and women having this quality. So at this point, I would say it's not gender based. It is
Okay.
that do you want to develop that ability?
So it is a cultivatable skill.
Yes, yes. I mean, you can be born with it. To be honest, I'm not an expert to comment on it, but most of the successful men and women, they both possess this. I mean, ability to read the room is critical as you in senior roles.
Got it. But then are there differences, like leading as a woman versus leading as a man, that you notice?
Yeah. So I personally, that I would agree with. There is a difference how you come across. The same traits can be associated to being too aggressive or too assertive. So yes, there are times when you have to kind of balance it out because there is a little bit of a difference how you lead men versus women, at least based on off of my experience. But I usually, anybody who's worked with me or has asked me for mentorship, I just tell them that end of the day, we are supported in an organization, we are supported in business. So lead the way that comes naturally to you. That is the most effective way of leading. It is not, I'm a woman, I need to demonstrate certain skill set versus men.
Mhm.
If this is your style, you are very outspoken, you want to be very direct, that is your style, right? And majority of the time people will appreciate you for it. So don't change it just because you're a woman leader.
Got
uh,
it.
and I think the same kind of playbook applies to both men and women leaders, like how we come across, how we talk to our teams, how we treat our teams. It's the same, I think.
Nice. Um, one thing that like that really hit me is like that empathy part is cultivatable. If that is truly the case, then definitely like that would be something. I do not know how much do I possess. I mean, like I that's the also the reason among my team I would be scared to do a 360. like, okay, like what if all of these things come up? Like, do I actually go ahead and change it? But I think that's something like not being open to, and that I'm sure that is costing me. So I probably need to do that at some point. So switching gears a little bit, coming more or like zooming in more into your day to day, you have been like you have taken one company, not just taken, but basically you have been in a pre-IPO setting in a hyper growth phase. You have done that at Palo Alto Network, right? Now you're doing the same thing at Techion. From an operator's lens, are you doing the same thing at Techion?
So Palo Alto, when I joined, it definitely was hyper growth company, but it was post IPO.
It was post IPO. Okay.
But yes,
Okay.
hyper.
So you
Yes.
have seen both sides of the things, once in a post IPO setting. One. Okay. So makes the question even more interesting. Like, so from an operator's lens, there's two things that I want to understand. One is being on this side, like pre-IPO side, what are the challenges that you see, the big ones that you see that are mostly resolved by the post-IPO environment? And then do you think that like hyper growth companies can't really be operationally disciplined? You just have to do the cleanup after the IPO?
So, great question. I don't see much of challenge. I see more of opportunity here. And why? I'll tell you why. Because when initially even I came to Palo Alto, I came from a much more mature and bigger company than what Palo Alto was 5 years back, 5.5 years back. And for me, the thrilling or the exciting part was the velocity at which they were moving. And I see the same velocity in my current company, Techion, also. I think when you are in hyper growth, you have to be mindful that you're moving very fast. So sometimes there is very little opportunity for perfection, which is something that we look for in much bigger and more mature companies. And I think I would happily do that trade off because, again, when you are trying to grow this fast, it is fail forward basically in a lot of things, right? So you try something, if it's not working, you iterate really fast, you move forward, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, right? So I think this was something that I've seen. It's a common pattern in any company that is going through hyper growth. The key is that how can you move fast by putting lean processes, lean structure, but still some process and framework so that there are guardrails. Because as you start growing, whether it is a company which is already IPO and is growing in terms of ARR, etc., or it is a pre-IPO company, it's the same thing. It is the velocity, but can you put something in place which is robust enough to guide you and keep you on the path, but at the same time not slow you down? Because that is the biggest thing I've seen. A lot of people, they come with their playbook from previous places and they try to implement in a new setup and it doesn't work. So you have to assess the environment, you have to see what works for this place and then build your new playbook in that place.
So, like, let's say somebody who is aspiring to be in BizOps or build their career in BizOps, and somebody who is currently, and this is going to be a two-part question because this makes things very interesting, because perhaps the world that you started in, that was like the start of the, not start of the internet, but like mid-internet era. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not trying
No,
not to.
that's fine. That's fine. 2004 is when I started. But yeah, it was very different, Varun, than what it is right now. From 2004 to now, the world has changed. How we do business has changed. Technology has changed. And now with AI in past 1 year, I would say, the whole landscape has changed. How we are doing operations, program management, or even the chief of staff roles.
So in that, please talk to me about more about like, hey, how does this base of function will change? So where is AI actually gonna help this function a lot versus where it's more of a buzzword? And then how should the talent of today prepare themselves for tomorrow?
Yeah, so as I said, ever since I've been in the industry, it's been 2 decades now, things have changed completely, whether it's business operations, PMO, chief of staff. Previously, it was like we would need hours and hours to build executive presentations, to build a story, to build a proposal, to analyze the data. All that stuff now AI is doing for you, right? So I think AI definitely has been an enabler in this whole domain.
Where does AI actually becomes a value creator for you in BizOps? Whereas, hey, these are just like buzzwords. So, for example, I don't know, I shouldn't use that example because like I have me personally, okay, we'll put this on the podcast. My personal view of MBAs is not that favorable, and I feel like they do is make presentations and like make it sound the things sound fancy. Nothing against certain consulting companies as well, but like half the time you're just making fancy presentations. Basically, before the AI slop was there was that kind of slop, right? The buzzword slop. So my thing is like when I see all of that, like, hey, AI is just a thing that could scale something very fast, that can get the work done very fast. It can get the stupid work delivered very fast. It can add so much more value to like, hey, it can help people operate in their zone of excellence. With AI being able to read large documentation, analyze lots of data, with AI being able to just like do all of these things, where do you think then in BizOps the zone of excellence would lie?
I think the bar is just going to get raised, because if in the past we were doing certain work without AI, now with the help of AI, we should not only be able to deliver faster, but with more quality, and then leveraging our people for some of the higher value work. So, as you said, like some of the content creation, some of the analysis, some of the research, all that stuff should be leveraged through AI, which means you should be more productive. I don't want to put a percentage to it because every organization, every company is measuring it differently. But definitely, I think the velocity of delivery needs to increase. And I'll give you an example. Like, for instance, just like a year back, year and a half back, there were a lot of tools that were in the market for program management that were being leveraged. And now use Claude for a lot of stuff that in the past I was relying on tool. You can build your own agents, your own skills. So I just feel it is a force multiplier, it's an enabler. It just depends on how you want to use it as an organization. But definitely the expectation would be that there is more productivity with some of these tools that are being leveraged by these functions.
I see. So here's my prediction. Like definitely the team sizes are gonna shrink. The power is gonna come. For example, and this is the most bizarre example. When you look at a company the size of Anthropic has one person marketing department. And when I learned that, like you would say, like, okay, Anthropic gets a lot of publicity by people using it, the Claude and everything, right? Or new news breaking out, and that's okay. But there is still the operational aspect of marketing, like, hey, we need to test out these many creatives, we have to put out these many emails, all of that. It's just like one person being able to do that. So like that is a living breathing example of, hey, how the team sizes can massively shrink. And in that, I feel like then the domain expertise and the judgment would shift and move more towards humans. And the volume of work that needs to happen, that would be the grunt work would move more towards AI. Not just the grunt work, but like, hey, the minor decisions, but like, so humans will more move towards architecting, like, hey, this is how I would think through the problem. But now here's my thought about why this is going to create 5 to 10 year crisis. Because 10 years ago, I would imagine, like at least when I started my career, you started at an entry level and the only promise you brought to the table, like, hey, dude, I'll help you do your job faster. Just like tell me whatever, I'll sort out the sheet, I'll do whatever, like I'll run and get you coffee, right? At least I'm getting to sit next to you and absorb and learn by doing. Anymore, what we have seen, and this is in the tech job market that we are currently witnessing, is the entry level developer roles are shrinking. The staff level roles are so much in high demand that it's almost impossible to find. Like companies are fighting over the same, like the comps are raising so high. But what happens is like, okay, staff and principal level people, they can use AI to do their work, but for the next 5 years. But where does that talent pipeline comes in from? How does this entry level talent that is coming in, how do they get to learn? And one shift, and this is at least like speaking on that, one shift that I'm seeing is like that's why more and more gig economy is building up. Like, hey, people working on Upwork, people starting their own business, people starting their like, hey, little service side hustles, whatever. Like, hey, I just want to be productive, I can do all of these things, and that's how I'm getting the real world knowledge. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, so you're spot on. I think that's what's going to happen. That shift, definitely, we are seeing it already, and you'll see more and more in the coming years. Those entry level jobs, probably Either people will upskill or AI is already doing some of those things. So again, but this is the interesting part. I mean, as humans, we've always been evolving, right? In 1980s, if you would have asked somebody, maybe they would have said that, hey, computers is going to take over the world and we won't have jobs. We evolved, right? And now it's the same inflection point that, hey, AI is coming, we won't have jobs. It doesn't work that way. Humans evolve. We'll have, I would say, higher value work to do in future, each one of us. And it's not that those people coming from colleges will struggle. I think, again, the way we started in our career, where we had to do number crunching or build some PowerPoint, some content, that stuff is gone. So hopefully these kids who are joining the work industry are going to be doing much high value work than what the previous generations have done. So that's how I see it. I see a positive thing to it, to be honest, but maybe I'm too much of an optimist.
I was gonna ask, like, are you, does that make you scared? But it seems like you're
No,
not.
no, 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 no. These things shouldn't scare you. They should actually excite you that there is something out there that will help you bring out your best version, your highest potential. That's what it's doing. I'll give you a very simple example. In business operations or PMO or chief of staff, writing is a very critical thing because you are sharing a lot of content with people. You have to craft a lot of communications. In the past, a lot of people struggled with it, right? Getting the right story, getting the right messages. Now you have AI. So if you can synthesize your thoughts, you can leverage that to have a communication that will hit your audience just the way you want it to, right? So again, it depends on your perspective and how you're leveraging things in industry.
Got it. One last question. If you were to hire biz ops person or a chief of staff person, what would you look for, like in terms of character traits, skills, experience? What do they, and current day and age?
So one thing that I'll be very honest is this role, it depends on the leader who's hiring. So a lot of times there is a need for a very technical person. I've seen that in Amazon is a great example where even architect level people, they become chief of staff because that's the need of that role. In other places, they want thought leaders, they want strategic partners, they want somebody who has expertise on operations side, can run M&A and other things. So it definitely depends on the leader. But one thing I would say is absolutely needed for this role, for any one of these roles actually, would be bias for action. You need a person who takes accountability and has a very strong bias for action.
Got it. And that's what you look for.
Absolutely, I do, because certain skills I feel people can learn. People are always coachable. You can tell them about the domain, you can tell them about the industry they are in. But that bias for action, it's little hard to teach. Either you have it or, I mean, people change, people develop these skill sets, but it's absolutely needed from day one.
What kind of leader are you? Do you believe more in, like, hey, I'll hire a talent and I can train them to exactly what I want? Or are you more focused on, like, hey, when it comes to hiring, I want the absolute best so that the training is minimal?
I believe in taking chances on people because people have taken chances on me. That's how I see it. I didn't have all the skill sets for a lot of jobs for which I was hired or I was internally moved on to. I picked it up. So I firmly believe if you have the right attitude, you can pick up stuff. But yes, these are very demanding roles. So you need to have some experience, some understanding of it because it can get very hard. People are expected to kind of start running from day one. But yes, I mean, I personally, for me, attitude is the most important thing. And then, of course, I cannot hire someone who has no experience in business operations or has never supported a senior exec or has never run a program in a PMO. So you do need certain skill sets, but beyond that, I'm willing to negotiate. But attitude is something I don't think you should negotiate on.
Got it. Nice. So now let's run into our rapid fire segment. So here the goal is we do not think too much. You just want to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Sound good?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Perfect. So your favorite tool of choice, basically, like in terms of like organization or project management, Asana, ServiceNow, spreadsheet, something else.
Something else.
Okay, which one is it?
Claude.
Oh, Got
I would build it in house now.
it. SaaS is dead. Um, One dashboard metric that you would keep if you had to delete all of those in terms of like in the BizOps world.
BizOps world. I think it would be the ROI. I think ROI metrics for anything, whether it's PMO or BizOps, I would anything that we are doing, what is the return on investment? Because that helps you prioritize
Got it.
better.
Thought you would say that you're a very calculated person. All right. Most overused buzzwords that you keep hearing in meetings.
I'll pass this one.
Most underrated skill for a great chief of staff type operator. I believe you already told me that, but
Yeah, I would say EQ. You need very strong EQ.
biggest red flag that you have seen in quote unquote strategic initiative proposal.
I think change management, skipping on change management or cutting down on change management efforts.
Okay. One book, podcast, or mentor that most shaped you as in how you operate today.
I think there's more than one in both fields, but definitely, as I mentioned earlier, I have been fortunate to see what good looks like in these roles. So definitely, they are my role models and my bar, which is very hard to beat.
Yeah. Do you have a personal ritual before like a quarterly business review or a board presentation?
Absolutely, I block my calendar. I go through all the questions that can be asked in that meeting, and you'll be probably will laugh, but I think of situations how this meeting can go wrong. Yeah. I because again, most of the times I've been in situations where extremely cross-functional, and even if you send pre-reads, even if you discuss stuff, people don't see it. So I actually spend some time thinking that what are those edge cases that I haven't looked at, or what are the things people could ask? Am I prepared for it? So I do definitely 15 minutes for any critical meeting. I think, and yeah, I see what can what can go wrong here.
So, and then one thing you do to fully switch off from work.
I do quite a few things, but definitely I like to work out. So Pilates is I have a really good studio close by, so I make sure that is part of my routine,
That's
and that's
hard.
one thing I don't skip. So yeah, I like working out and just going outdoors.
Nice. And then I have a couple of myth versus reality questions. So, basically, I'll read you a statement. You tell me whether it's a myth or a reality from your standpoint. Most people in BizOp roles are just project managers with fancier titles.
No, it's a myth. Business operations requires different skill sets, financial acumen, having that understanding of what operational excellence looks like. So definitely, yeah, yes, program management skill set is generic. I think in every role it's needed, but yeah, you do need additional skill sets for business operations. So it is a myth.
Got it. So, and then you have to choose between moving fast and being predictable. You cannot have both.
Fast.
Okay. Yeah. No, but more of a myth versus reality. You cannot have both.
Oh, you can have both. It's a myth.
Oh, okay. Got it. Most transformation programs fail because of technology, not because of operations.
No, that is a myth. I think operational rhythm and technology both are required for transformational programs. It's not just the technology.
Got it. And then last one is AI will naturally make tech organizations more efficient, even if the underlying processes are messy.
No, that's a myth. Your process are the keys. You need to fix that for AI to give you the maximum output that you need from it.
Got it. Sweet. And that concludes my questions. Anything else that you would want to drop in on this so like we can present as your views?
No, Varun, this was amazing. It was really nice connecting with you. And I'm glad that we spoke about these three functions, which are very close to my heart. I've been doing them for years now. And yeah, this was really fun actually.
Sweet. No, I'm really glad we connected. I hope we had more time. Let's see if we come up with more questions. If you have some more availability later down, we'd love to have like a repeat of this.
No, absolutely. And happy to help you. Happy to help you.